Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I am solo today, and I am really excited to talk to you about a few things and hopefully get you revved up for the new year. It is hard to believe that 2024 is coming to a close, and whether it's been your best year or it's been a struggle, it's okay because we're all getting a fresh start, and that's what's really exciting about the new year. So I want to start just talking a little bit about the podcast and how it's going. This is actually episode 11, which is incredibly hard to believe that I'm already on 11, and 11 is my favorite number, and it has special significance to me. So I wanted to go ahead and just share some personal things today with you, and also give you a little bit of advice. So personally, I love podcasting. I can't believe how much I love it. And the first night that I went to record the intro, I didn't know that I could read it because I thought I was being on video. So I practiced and practiced and practiced it. And I was in my office by myself at night. I think it was like a Friday night. And I just stood in front of the mic and started talking to the camera. And I was like, I love this. I'm not afraid to say it. I was like, I love this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And here's the funny thing about the podcast. It never would have happened. Well, maybe it would have. I don't know. But it happened really because of the book. I wrote a book this year. The book is called Start Before You're Ready. And the reason why I named the book that is because so many things in my life, I feel like have just kind of naturally, organically happened. And I wasn't necessarily ready for them to happen, but I just didn't overthink it. And I just went. And that's one of the things that I think has really helped me. So it's something that I want to try to help other people with, because a lot of people tend to overthink, especially perfectionists, especially people that feel like everything needs to look and feel a certain way before you can take that next step. I have the gift of not being a perfectionist. I can just do something and I can find the good in it and I can find the value in it, even if it's not perfect. So with the book, Emily and I had done interviews. We had interviewed a lot of the members of the KBC community. It was volunteer. It was like, hey, anybody want to, help us with the book? We were really just looking for help. We didn't know that the interviews would actually be a whole chapter, but anyone that volunteered, Emily got on the phone and did an interview with them. And they ended up being one of my favorite parts of the book. So as I was actually getting ready to leave for Italy, I was traveling overseas for the first time with my husband for our 25th wedding anniversary. I started really thinking about how much I love that part of the book. And I was like, you know what, Kelly, that doesn't have to end. You can keep doing that. I was also thinking, gosh, there's so many other stories in the community, or as the stories unfold during challenge time, that I want to share that are so valuable that I think people could learn from and I think people would find interesting. So that's when I was like, you know what, a great platform to do that would be, where I don't have to transcribe it all, a podcast. So I kind of just sealed it in and told myself, well, I actually sent a message to one person. She's on my team and she's someone that I know knows a little bit about podcasting and someone that I respect. And I just said, hey, I'm not doing anything right now, but when I get back from this trip, I'm going to start a podcast. I just want to say it out loud to one person right now. And she was it. That was the only person. I texted Gretchen and that was it. And I want to also say, when you want to do something, if you're like me, you need someone to be accountable to. So Gretchen was kind of that first step, because if I told her that I was going to do it, then I really would be much more likely to follow through. But I needed more than just to say it to a friend. I needed someone that was going to walk me through it. And that's when I got connected with Chase. Chase is actually works for Todd Durkin and does his marketing. And he's done some presenting in the mastermind, and I just really liked him. And he had mentioned here and there, hey, if anyone ever wants to start a podcast, I can help get you started. And I reached out to him and said, okay, Chase, I want to do it. And then once I make a commitment to somebody else, once I say, out loud to somebody else, hey, yes, I want to do this. Then it was rapid fire. It was like all these questions, and here's your intro, and here's your outro, and all these things. And if I had been left to myself to get all that done, I would not have. So I'm incredibly grateful for the services that he provided to get me started. I didn't know anything about podcasting. I didn't spend a lot of time researching. I just took his guidance. I knew that he was an expert in this field. I knew he was somebody that I like and I trusted. And I also said, hey, Chase, I might just do this as part of the book launch. This might not be my thing. I don't really know. I've never done a podcast. Let me just try it out. So rather than spending months and years and doing all this research and buying all these things, I just said, I'm just going to start. The name of the podcast is Start Before You're Ready. I don't think I should over prepare for this, and I'm just going to start. That's how the podcast really came to be. And I was very thoughtful in how I wanted the podcast to feel for a couple of reasons. One is I didn't want it to be something that I stressed about. I didn't want it to be something that I felt like I had to spend half my week preparing. I just don't have that block of time. I run a business. I teach a lot of classes. I coach clients. I have a family. I'm like everybody else. I have a lot of things. So I didn't feel like I had that much time. And what I really value is authentic conversations. So I didn't want it to feel like something that was really pre-planned. I wanted to kind of have a general outline like, hey, I'd like to talk to you, Kristen, and here's what I want the audience to know about you. Let's just have a conversation. Let's just have a candid conversation. Let's just be ourselves. You don't need to plan anything. You don't need to write out your answers or anything like that. Here's a general idea of what I'm going to ask you. So that's really what's been going on. And I love that. I personally love that. I love listening to those kind of conversations, and I love being a part of those kind of conversations. And it doesn't feel stressful. So that's something that I'm really happy about. As I do the podcast, as I talk with either the guests or as I'm talking to you today, I like to give little tips along the way. And everybody is different. My tips might not speak to you, or some of them might, and some of them might not. But the tip for me that came from that little story that I just shared with you is that you really have to know yourself. Like if you know that you're gonna get stressed, if you have to have these really formal, planned out conversations, then don't try to do that. Know what works for you. Know where your strengths are. Know what is going to feel. Because if it feels good for you, if you're comfortable and you're happy and you're excited about it, your audience or whatever you're doing is going to be happy and excited about it. I think that's something that I've learned from my teaching, from teaching group fitness and from coaching, from any of the programs that we run. I have to be fired up about it. I have to be lit up about it. I have to believe in it. I can't bring other people with me if I'm not fired up about it. So that brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about today. And this is something that's been a work in progress for me for probably like 8 or 9 years. But I've really brought it to my community, I would say, in an impactful way for probably the past 5 years. And this is something that I'm hoping that after listening to this podcast, you will also adopt. And I want to talk to you about what you can do to try to come up with your theme word for the year. I don't know whose original idea this is. I got this idea from John Gordon. If you don't know John Gordon, he is a famous author and he's written incredible books like Hard Hat and The Energy Bus and just a plethora of books that I find incredibly inspiring in their really nice, easy reads. Another book that he wrote, he co-authored it, is called One Word. And the idea behind One Word is that each year, rather than goals, not to say you shouldn't set goals because you should still set goals. So maybe I shouldn't say rather than, but in addition to setting goals and creating a resolution for yourself, like what you want to change, think about one word that you think is going to serve you in moving towards the things that you want to do more of. Or maybe it's a word that's going to ground you when you're feeling like just things are chaotic. Maybe it's a word that's going to empower you and make you feel like, yes, I can do this. My words have been different every year and they've really served me. One year, my word was focus. And anyone that knows me knows that that's probably a really good word for me. And how it served me was when I found myself getting distracted, I would just say to myself, Kelly, focus, focus. You're working on this right now. Just continue to work on this. And we all talk to ourselves. I don't care who you are. You can say you don't talk to yourself. Maybe you don't talk to yourself as much as I do, but I talk to myself all day long. And I always say the words inside of your head are the most powerful words because those are the words that you're hearing the most. So if you're saying the words that you want, that you know is going to help you move you in the right direction, it's really powerful. And I did really well with that particular word. Another word that I had was discipline. And when I came up with that word, I got some slack from my team and they're like, Kelly, you're so disciplined. You always work out. You always, you're good about your sleep. And I'm not so disciplined, by the way. I have lots of things that I need more discipline with. So one of the ways that I would use the word discipline was when I was working out. I would think to myself when I was training, discipline, Kelly, pull your shoulders back, lift your chest, engage your core, be more thoughtful in your movement. Don't get sloppy. And I did it with myself and I also did it with my students. And it just seemed to really apply to me that year. There was a lot of things that I wanted to do and be doing, and I can tend to get distracted. So using the word discipline kept me focused. You see, there's a little theme, focused, discipline. Another word that I used actually was probably the most helpful. And I don't think I'm telling you my words in order, but this word really, really helped me when I would want to start something new and wasn't finished with what I was already doing. So one year, my word was finish. And that really served me because anytime I would be in the middle of doing something and be like, I want to, whatever it was, I would say, no, Kelly, finish. And I just used that word kind of sternly to myself, finish. And it really worked. I actually felt like it worked so well that I had less of those tendencies. And we all know when we have certain habits or patterns, they're very hard to break. So that's one of the reasons why I think these words are so powerful, is that that's something that I've struggled with my whole life for as long as I can remember. And I'm not telling you I'm perfect at it now, but I am telling you that I'm much better at it. So one of the ways that I stay connected to my word is I'm part of groups of people that also have words. So one of the things that we do at our team dinner every year, my team is the instructors and the coaches and Teresa, the business manager. We usually have a nice dinner and we get together as a team and it's supposed to be fun and festive, but of course I always have to be in productive mode. So I ask everybody to go around the table and share their word. And I can say with certainty that 5 years ago, this was not taken seriously. This was, think of it as you go, kind of everyone's laughing and they're saying silly words and it was fine. Okay, that's fine. I would just write them down and just say, okay, next. But over the years, they have found value in it and they have taken it a lot more seriously. And it's actually not just the team, it's also the spouses. So we all go around and we share our word and why we chose that word. And I write them down just in case they forget. And we share them with the community. And we did that last week. We all shared our word. I was really impressed by the words that the team and the spouses that were there came up with this year. They were really thoughtful about it and are so interesting because you might look at it and feel like that's a negative word. I'll use Meg for an example. Her word was productive. That could feel stressful, like, oh, I need to be productive all the time. But it's just for her, how it's going to help her is when she's in that mode of being productive, wanting to produce something, wanting to get something done, she can use that word to serve her. So when she's not in the mode, when she's in the relaxing or just Fun Friday mode or whatever that might be, then she can kind of turn that word off. So it's like when you're kind of in that zone of, okay, I've got this, I want to be getting done, productive, is going to serve her, but that doesn't mean she always needs to be being productive. Another word that when one of the teammates came up with, Erica, actually was prune. And I've never had somebody use that word before. And if you think about what the word prune means, her idea was that she kind of wanted to get rid of or cut down on the things that maybe weren't serving her or that felt stressful or excess, and just kind of narrow her focus on the things that truly mattered. And I think that's something that speaks to all of us. My word for this year is intense. And I definitely got slack for that. Everyone was laughing, ha ha, Kelly's picking intense, because I tend to be intense in certain aspects of my life. But I chose the word intense very intentionally because I want to go all in on the things that I really think I should be doing. And I want to be a better coach. I love coaching. I thought to myself about the things that I feel like, what are my superpowers? What are things that I naturally just do well? And how can I go all in on those and add more value to the people that I'm coaching and to my community? And intense just came to mind. And I know it scares people that I'm choosing intense, but there's a mode. There's a mode that I have, and I think everybody has. Like, this is the most important thing right now. When I get into that mode, I become intense. It happens a lot while I'm teaching a class, but I want it to happen even more because when you're so dialed in on whatever it is, that thing that you're doing right then, it is so powerful. And I want to bring that to my community more. So intense is not just for myself, it's for how I'm going to show up in my community, how I'm going to show up here on the podcast, how I'm going to show up in my coaching, just how I want to be. It is part of my identity. And maybe I feel like I let it go a little bit. I think that there's been years where I was intentionally trying to soften. Like, Kelly, stop being so intense. Like, everything doesn't need to be the most important thing in the world. Stop being so intense. But for some reason, this year, I feel like intense is the right word. And I'll talk about it more throughout the year, how I feel like it's serving me, or if it's serving me. But I'm feeling really good about it. I actually, the day after I declared my word out loud, I went in at Saturday boot camp the next day, and I felt a little more revved up. I felt like I was more connected to my class. I just was kind of thinking of my word, and it really helped me and it really served me. So I think I chose the right word. Okay, so that was one thing that I want you to start thinking about for you. I want you, if you haven't already come up with your word, I want you to start thinking about a word that will serve you in 2025. And if you're like, I have no idea, don't just Google words that will serve or open yourself up to it. See what starts coming to you. Just put it out there. I'm looking for a word that's going to serve me in 2025. I want to be maybe more focused on my health. I want to be more present with my family. I want to be more grateful for what I have. Whatever the things are that just naturally come to your mind, just start thinking them and saying them out loud. And then I promise you, a word will come to you. If you just let that out there, let out all the things that you want to be. I want to be more disciplined in my nutrition. I want to be more successful at work. I want to be whatever it is. Just start to think about all those things and your word will come to you. The next step after you think of your word is to share it. You can't just keep it inside. Even if it feels like, oh, well, my word's kind of stupid or my word won't make sense to other people. Who cares. I have had people share their words with me, and at first I'm like, And then as the year goes on, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's an amazing word. I love how they use their word. So don't let anyone else question your word. It's your word, and you can you can really mold it in to so many different parts of your life. So just start to think about that. I would love for you to share your word with me. I actually have already created a Google Drive for, it's not just for my community, it's actually for anybody. And by the way, I would love anybody listens to this podcast, whether they work out with KBC or not, to feel like they are part of the community. That is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start this podcast. I want you to feel like you're part of some of the things that we do, some of the things that I know have made us successful, and helped us along the way. So you are part of this community. So if you see anything like, hey, here's a Google Drive, KBC community members, share this, share your word. Share it. I'd love to hear it. If you want to tell me privately in a DM or another way, then that's perfectly fine too. And the next step I want you to do is share it with your family, or if your family's like not going to be receptive or cool about it, then don't share with them. Maybe there's somebody at work, maybe there's a friend, somebody that you know has your best interest at heart. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people in your life that are like that, but certain people are just going to be a little bit more receptive and say, here's my word, and here's what it means to me, and maybe suggest that they come up with a word. I feel like the more people that do it in your life, the more likely you are to keep up with it. Next, step 3 is I want you to find a way to revisit your word on a regular basis. And everybody's different with this, but you have to do this. So if you keep a gratitude journal, or you do your WLAGs, which is every week writing your wins, losses, ahas, and goals, this would be a good time to bring your word into it, to maybe make sure that one of your wins uses your word, or one of your ahas uses your word. One thing that I have started doing in my community is at Run Club, which is the class that we do on Friday mornings outside in the parking lot at 5:45, is I ask everybody to give an example of, well, I give them 2 choices, because sometimes you might not have an example, but I say 2 choices, guys. You can either share with me one way that your word has served you this week, or just a win that you've had for a week. Sometimes we talk about struggles, sometimes we talk about different things, but I really try to be consistent with revisiting that word. And that has been so powerful. The rhythm of it, that it's every week, that, people are pretty consistent with that class. And then sometimes if they're not there, they'll message me, they'll send me a text and say like, Kelly, I wasn't there today, but I wanted to tell you this. So it's definitely working. So one of the things that I tell people when they're trying to create a habit, starting something that they're not already doing that they would like to be consistent with, is to attach it to something that you already do. And for these people, Run Club is something that they already do. It's a class that they attend regularly. So this worked out really well for them. It could be something totally different. Maybe on Sundays you have a ritual of meal prep, or there's something that you do, but you want to continue to revisit the word. It's a really important part of being successful with your word. Think of something that you can do, and if you want to share that in the Google Drive or in conversation, then I think that would be really, really helpful. And then one other, you can't see me, but I made a bracelet that says, that's how I say inspire, that says intense. So my bracelet says intense. And that is also another way. I've put it on mugs before. I've put it on cups. One year I did nice swell water bottles for my team, and I put all their words on them. So that's another way that you can kind of just continue to have your word. You don't have to do that part of it. If that doesn't speak to you, don't do it. But if it does, if you're like, yeah, I like that will be helpful for me, then that's definitely something that you should do. So I want to just go ahead and say one more thing about when you're thinking about your new year, or you're thinking about your word and bringing more of whatever it is that you want to do into your life. And that is the accountability part of it. I don't care how disciplined, focused, determined, finisher. I don't care. All those things. If you don't have an outside source to be accountable to, you're going to slip up. You need something. You need a coach. You need something outside of yourself to be accountable to. So, I'm going to tell you about a couple of programs that we have at KBC. That doesn't mean that's not what you need to do, but these are just ideas. Maybe it's something you can create on your own. Two of them are year-long programs. I'm going to start with the year-long accountability program. You're going to see me start to do shout outs for our community members that finished what I call My Zone Elite. So, what is My Zone? First of all, that's a great question. My Zone is a heart rate tracking device. You physically wear a belt and a belt around your chest that measures your heart rate, and it tracks all of your workouts. What is really cool about My Zone is you can be doing really any kind of workout and earn points, earn effort points from your MyZone belt. And if you are someone that's trying to become more consistent with exercise, MyZone rewards you. So they have a standard where is if you get 1,300 MEPs a month, which I would say is like 10 workouts. Maybe, I mean, it depends on how, if your workouts are a half hour, it might be more like 20 workouts, but I would say it's about 10 hours of exercise. Some people earn it a lot faster. It just depends on your max heart rate and how intense you like to work out and how intense you like to train. Some people will say to me, well, Kelly, what intensity should I train at? And my answer is all of them. You want to spend time in all of the zones. So my zone breaks it down into 5 zones essentially. One zone is like less than 50%. You don't get any MEPs for it. The next zone is 50 to 60%. You do get MEPs for that, but you don't get challenge. So if you're in a challenge, I don't want to confuse you with that, but you don't get challenge point MEPs. Next is 60 to 70%, where you earn 1 MEP per minute. So if you're doing like a strength training workout or something a little bit where your heart rate isn't necessarily getting as high, you might be in that. I'm sorry, you earn 2 MEPs per minute. You might be in that blue zone, which is 60 to 70%. If you are working at a more intense rate, this would be aerobic. You would feel like you're doing some form of cardio. Then that's going to earn you 3 MEPs per minute. That's going to be your 70 to 79%. And then you earn 4 MEPs per minute for anything above 80. I kind of like that My Zone does this. They don't reward you like killing yourself, like going all out. They actually give you the same number of MEPs to work out 80% as they do 99%. So that's kind of a good thing because that kind of keeps people that are just super intense from overtraining. So that's how the My Zone works. Now, what I'm talking about, the accountability program that I do is they need to earn, it's called My Zone Elite. They needed to earn over 2,000 MEPs for each month. Actually, I kind of changed it a little bit this year where I made it less, but they needed to earn whatever number of MEPs that they wanted to commit to. I think I had a 1,500, I had a 2,000, I had a 20. So they needed to earn that. And if they did, they stayed in the program for the next month. So anybody that graduated, you'll see me post about the people that graduated from My Zone Elite. They didn't do this for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. They did this for a year. And I love that because consistency is so important. So basically, if they didn't earn the number of MEPs that they said they were going to do for that month, they got kicked out of My Zone Elite. So Elite is something, that they have to work towards. So that's been a program that we've done for the past, I think this is our 4th year of doing it. And I'm going to do it again this year, but I'm actually going to do it monthly. And that doesn't mean that it still won't have the year. You still will be able to earn or to graduate from it for the year of 2025 if you do it every month. But that way, if people get their belts in February or they just didn't, they didn't really think they needed it in January, but then in March they're like, yeah, I really need something, they can join. So they can join each month. And as long as they join the challenge I'm just going to put it out to my whole community. As long as they join it each month, then they will have the opportunity to graduate from My Zone Elite. So that's one of the programs that we do to reward consistency. And it's not the most fit person. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with regular exercise where you're consistently putting on that belt. For me, the way that the My Zone belt has really served me is when I'm traveling. I don't like to go a few days without getting MEPS. So I pretty structured as far as when I'm home, but when I'm out of town, sometimes I'm like, nah, do I really want to do something? And then I'm like, yeah, I got to get my MEPS. So it totally works for me. And I'm going on year 4 with it. And just a side note about the My Zone tracking device. I have never really adopted. I don't love technology. I never got into any of the other devices, but there's just something about this that I really value. And I think it's the effort. I think that the fact that they reward effort and they do all the tracking for you. I'm not very good at tracking things, like keeping track of stuff. So as long as all I have to do is wear my belt. As long as wear my belt, I've got incredible data from years and years that I find incredibly valuable, that also I can use real time during the workout. If we're doing a workout that is designed to push you, where you're trying to be a little bit more intense with your training, then I can use it to push myself. I can see, like, okay, we're supposed to be going hard right now, but my heart rate's at 76. Let me push this and get it up into the 80s. So I absolutely love the My Zone. I could talk about it forever. I could do a whole podcast on it. It is one of my very favorite tools for fitness. If you want more information, I actually have like a 10-minute video that I made that I think is really helpful and clear. That might be helpful for you. Another program that we do at KBC, and this is something that you could do even if you weren't local. This is something that you could do. And by the way, this is something you could do if you're local and you're still not a member. I will allow non-members to do the DW. They're gonna have to do a little bit of coaching first, just so they understand the concept. But basically, what the DW is, it's a year-long accountability program where you go in on your own. You go into the studio anytime the studio is open, and you do an in-body test. The in-body is a bioelectrical impedance that measures your body composition. So it tells you more than just how much you weigh, because I don't really like that as a metric to measure your success. It tells you what your skeletal muscle mass is. It tells you your body fat percentage. It tells you your total body water. It does a segmental analysis, which I love, which can be really helpful in your training. So the InBody is just an incredible tool to help you really, really move your body composition in the right direction. The numbers that the InBody gives you are incredibly helpful. And again, I could do a whole nother podcast about this, but right now, for the sake of this, I just want to tell you about this year-long accountability program called the DW, where you go into the studio on your own every month and do an InBody. The machine is super simple to use. It tracks all your data. Again, we don't need spreadsheets. We don't need to do anything. All we need to do is get on the machine and put in our phone number, and it's going to have all of our old data, and it will show you a nice little report with however much data can fit on that particular sheet. I've got students that have folders and folders, and these students have been incredibly successful. So I believe in the InBody. And anytime I talk about something, guys, anytime I tell you about how great something is, it's because I've seen it work, not just for myself, but for hundreds of people. I believe in field data that I see, that I can understand and be a part of. And I have learned so much from the InBody. And the DW, because they do it every month, has just been incredibly valuable. They have learned, not, they'll message me. So there's two other parts of the DW that are important. And not everybody does all three parts, but all they need to do in order to graduate from the DW, and again, it's an accountability program. There's somebody else watching you, there's somebody dinging you. All they need to do is enter their numbers into a Google form. So we have a barcode right above the InBody at the studio. They just scan that and then they enter their numbers right then and there. It's 3 numbers. It takes literally 20 seconds. And I have one of my members, shout out to Kristen Cassad. She's a genius. She has built me this incredible, it's a Google Drive, but it's so much more than that. It's just absolutely incredible, where I can see who has entered their numbers. I can also see trends. I can also give shout outs based on who's made improvement every month. You're going to hear a lot of shout outs from me in the next couple weeks because they've already gotten all their data in, and it's just great. So at the end of the year, I will acknowledge 2 things. I will acknowledge people that graduated from the DW, and like anything, to graduate, you don't have to be perfect, but you do need to do 10 readings. So anybody that got more than 10 readings will have graduated from the DW. That means if over the summer they were like, I'm not going to do this, they still graduated, or they missed a month because they were sick or whatever, they still graduate. But the real big shout out and the hip hip hooray will go to those that did all 12 months of the InBody. That means every single month, whether they're having a good month or a bad month, or they had a lot going on, they found their way into that studio and they got on that machine and they got their data for the month. I personally did not do the DW when we first launched it. And then the second year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I find this incredibly valuable. And once I did it, I had a whole new respect for those that finished the program, those that completed, because there was absolutely months where I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Or, it throws you off a little bit because you can't eat before. So you've got to go into the studio unfed. And then if you have to work out right after, it's a little bit of a pain, but it's worth it. It's one day. It's one day. And when you finish something like that, you are so proud of yourself. I was so proud of myself, even though I had done it before. When I got on this December and I was like, oh, I'm done. Yay. I'm so excited. I graduated. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm going to do it next year. So it's just starting all over again. But it's incredibly valuable. The numbers are incredibly valuable. And we do have a couple other layers to it. We do have little text groups. We do have a private Facebook group that we all communicate on. I love it when some of the members of the program will get on there and just be like, hey guys, I had a terrible month. This, and this. Here's why. And it's so helpful to see that, hey, they had a terrible month, but they still got on and look what they learned. So it's just an incredibly valuable tool. It's an incredibly valuable program. It's not a coaching program. I don't coach anybody really. I give them little tips each month because that's just, I like to. If they text me their report, not everybody texts me their report, but they do have the option to text me their report if they want me to give them a little bit of feedback. Sometimes they give their own feedback where I'm like, okay, well, it sounds like you know what's going on. But you can also do coaching along with it. So say you're like, I want to do the DW, but I need some nutrition coaching. Then you could meet with Amy or Gretchen and do some nutrition coaching along with it. The more data we get from you, the better we can help you. So there's that part of it too. And I'll just say this last thing about it that I really have come to value. People really start to believe in the nutrition suggestions that we make to them when they do the DW. They see firsthand how quickly they can lose muscle if they are not getting the right amount of protein for their body. It's amazing. It's just enhanced my thoughts about it. I was like, wow, this, especially as people get older. When you're younger, you can get away with it a little bit more. You can actually get away with not having as much protein. But as you get older, unfortunately, you need to work even harder at keeping your muscle up. So you need to be even more intentional about your protein. So that's another program that we do, and you could do a version of it. If you live somewhere where there's like a lot of the vitamin stores to have an InBody. I don't know if you have to pay or how that would work, but it is just a great. And there's actually I can share the link with you guys. There's an InBody finder where you can actually put in your zip code and it can tell you if there's an InBody near you. And there's other devices as well. There's certainly other brands. InBody is a brand. It's just the brand that I know. I did do an extensive amount of research 8 years ago when I purchased the InBody. And I went to a conference and I got on every single machine, and then I got on them again the next day to see the consistency. I'm pretty sold on the InBody. It is the machine that most of my colleagues, people that are in the fitness field, use as well. So I'm pretty sold on it. I believe that it's very accurate to measure change. It's very accurate to measure change, which is all we're trying to do. We're not, the actual numbers don't matter. And I could talk about that, but sometimes I have people get on it and they're really discouraged because they work out all the time and think they're doing pretty good with their nutrition and their numbers are higher. And I say, you know what? The numbers, the raw numbers don't matter. Let's just see how we can use this data to help move your numbers in the right direction. And that's all that matters. There is a lot to it. And it is science, obviously, but there's certain things that are just kind of tried and true that I know to work to get those numbers moving in the right direction. And when people do them, it reaffirms my belief on how much those things matter. Okay. So we talked about 2-year-long accountability programs. And I also want to encourage you, if you're in our community, we have 2 amazing nutrition coaches that not just they do programs, which a program is a really affordable way to get long-term coaching, meaning like if you want to do something for 6 weeks or 2 months, it's a group. So you're a part of a group. You're not getting as much individual attention, but you do get individual attention. It's just not like you're not going and meeting with somebody one-on-one every time. It's a group atmosphere, but those that put a lot into it get a lot out of it. So as long as you do the work, you can't sign up for the program and expect to get the results. You need to do the work. You need to make sure that you're doing whatever it is you set out to do. So if you're like, you know what, I just need to work on getting more water or getting my protein or whatever it is, you need to commit to that. That needs to be like something that you just believe is so important, and you will get the results that you want. And the last thing that I want to talk to you about today is our winter challenge. So the winter challenge is something that I've been doing for I think 15 years now. It started in 2010. So this will be the 15th year. And it is an incredible way to start off the new year focusing on your health. If you are somebody that always says, hey, I really want to be a healthier person, I want to do things to move my health in the right direction, but then by like mid-January, you're like, oh my gosh, this is just, I can't do this. The winter challenge might be your solution because you are committed to a 6-week period of time where you're either on a team, which I value the team aspect of it so much. I think that is where a lot of the magic happens, or you're accountable as an individual where you know you're going to get back on that InBody in 6 weeks and your data is being tracked and you're being coached and you've invested in it and you want to finish anything that you start, you want to finish, even if the results aren't exactly what you wanted them to be. So the team part of it has a reputation of being, I feel like I'm using the word intense a lot today, but the team part of it has a reputation of being intense. It's softened. It's certainly softened, but it's a lot of fun. And truthfully, that is how a lot of my members have become connected to each other, is through the team portion of it, because they have deeper conversations. They get to know each other a little bit better. They do a little bit more maybe outside of just their workouts. So if that sounds appealing to you, you should absolutely do the team portion of the winter challenge. But if you're like, you know what? No, I'm looking for accountability and I want to make some changes and I need to follow through and I need some coaching, then the individual might be a better option for you, because that you're not connected to a group of other people except the other people in the individual, but you're all kind of working on your own to reach your goals, and you just have that group to kind of stay accountable to. You do have to answer some questions every week, and depending on how you want to communicate, you'll get some more individualized communication. But it's people. I've had a love-hate relationship with the challenge, because I personally don't love anything that you just do for 6 weeks and then you stop doing. It's like they go all in and they give up things. And that's not really my first choice when it comes to behavior change. However, I have noticed over time that people will do the challenge and pick up habits that they're able to continue even after the challenge is over, which that is where the magic happens. And then, potentially even more important than that, they make some connections. Because if you feel connected, if you feel like there's people that know you, that are going to be in class, or that you look forward to seeing, it's going to help you with your consistency. And anything that helps you with your consistency is going to move your health in the right direction. Consistency is the hardest thing to nail in any endeavor, but it is the key. Doing something hard for a short period of time will not move your health in the right direction. If you stop doing it and go back to your old habits, you really haven't you really have not added any value. You need to do something that is like a springboard to keep going, even if the intensity is a little bit different. All right, my friends. Well, now you've heard about four programs. So we talked about four things, really. We talked about the MyZone tracking system, which is going to start in January of 2025, and you could do it for a month, or you could do it for the year, or you could jump in March. The way we're going to do it this year is you'll be invited each month. If you want to do something for 12 months, if that's like, man, I really love the idea of doing something for a year and being consistent, that really speaks to me. That's part of what I want to be more of in 2025. You should absolutely go for it and try to graduate from the MyZone Elite. The DW, if you're looking for body composition changes, whether it be to gain muscle, lose fat, a lot of people are trying to do both at once, which is harder, but possible. I've learned so much. I would never tell anybody you can't gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. You absolutely can. It's exactly what most bodies are going to do, unless you're excessively muscled. So the InBody nutrition coaching, or any kind of coaching, guys, there's nothing more valuable in investing in yourself. And when you have somebody that you're accountable to, that you kind of think about in the back of your head while you're planning your meals or while you're deciding whether to do that workout, that is going to help you. That is going to add tremendous value to whatever it is you're trying to do. And then lastly, we did talk about the Winter Challenge. I can't not talk about the Winter Challenge because it is a huge part of our community. And it's something I'd love for more people to try. It's definitely a commitment. Don't go into it thinking like, I'm just going to, maybe sign up for it and maybe I'll do it. If you sign up for it, you're doing it, but you kind of determine your level of commitment in the beginning. And then we honor that. That's important that we honor that, because everybody's got different schedules and everybody's got different commitments. So it's important that whatever it is you said you're going to do, we just help you to get to the finish line. It's going to be a great year. I'm really excited to coach more and to train more and to be more intentional in how I show up for my community. I'm excited to grow with all of you, and I'm excited to find out what resonates with you, like what helps. That's where I think I've learned the most in my workout community, is what really helps people with long-term success. And I'm all about long-term success. Quick fix means nothing. And I've learned a lot about what really helps people with long-term success. And now I want to help you guys. So hopefully there was something in this podcast that you found valuable. Thank you so much for listening to the end. Please reach out if I can help you in any way. I'd love to connect offline and help you with your goals. It really is my utmost priority going into the new year. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.